How's it going, everybody? This is my 5-year dreadlock update. Really, I've probably had them a little over 5 years now, but I started in February of 2011. It's now May of 2016, so it's been about 5 years and a couple months. And this is really what I have to show for it. My dreads have definitely gotten pretty long, at half a decade. I'm happy with them. This is the length that I really wanted them to be, but I think like the last like 6 or 7 inches on most of the really long ones, the ones I haven't trimmed, I've just trimmed like 1 or 2 here and there whenever I feel like it, whenever I feel like they need it. I think in about a year I'll trim off the ends of the really long ones just so that I can get some of that really old hair off of there. Some of them I want to keep just because it is the hair from the very beginning, but I definitely want to trim because I can feel on some of them the ends are a little bit weaker, and from where I had stopped doing maintenance, because for the first year I did a lot of maintenance, and from that point on you can kind of see and feel in the dread that first year of dread. Not in this one, this one's been trimmed, but I mean most of them it's about this long on the ends that I'll probably trim off, and then it'll be all just more solid and stronger as a dread. So yeah, I guess I'll show you guys how long they've got. Pretty much all down to almost my longer ones go to my belly button, but the rest of them are below my chest, I'd say, for the most part. So 1 more year, they'll be down to about here. And then I'll trim a couple of them and bring them back up to a little longer than they are now, and we'll see how things go from there. But so far I'm loving it, man. I mean, if anybody's looking at this, if any of you are watching this video and you're thinking about getting dreads, I would highly recommend it. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made. It's fully changed my life in a lot of ways, which I can talk about that in another video. But also, if you're just seeing this for the first time and you are just about to start your hair, or you have questions, what's the length that I can start my dreads at? Or what will they look like when they're really short? You can go back to my older videos and see my dreads were, this is how long they were when I started. This is the hair I started with. And you might not be able to tell from where you are, but I can tell. You can kind of see where it gets a little thicker. And that's about it. And 5 years of growth has brought me this. A little over 5 years. My longest dread is, it's actually these two, and they're both just over 2 feet long. So it's about 25 inches, I'd say take off about 5 inches. So 20 inches in 5 years, which is about this long. I mean, it's crazy how long they've grown. And, well, after about a year of having them, they just start growing so fast because you're not really being so anxious about it or checking them all, looking at them all the time, just wishing that they would grow. It just kind of happens after the first year. You just forget about it and they just start dropping. Now they're even at the point where they're so long that they can be inconvenient sometimes, but I don't care. I don't mind at all. I don't plan on cutting them anytime soon, except for to trim them in about a year or so, like I was saying. Maintenance-wise, after about a year, once they start to mature, just stop doing everything that you're doing. Don't really do it. You don't have to do it. You can. I'm not going to say I'm fully against it or anything, because I did it and stuff, and occasionally I still will, you know, and I definitely do certain types of maintenance all the time, like washing and separating and stuff. But really, all you need to do after they started to mature and they're locking up, even if they're only like this long, after you've had them for about a year, you don't have to do anything but just wash your hair once or twice a week with whatever residue-free shampoo that you're finding. You can check out other videos about just shampoo to use for dreads, by the way, so definitely do some research on that. But all you need to do is wash your hair, like I was saying, once or twice a week. And after you've washed your hair, as it's drying throughout the day, you'll notice that it's getting a real tangly in your roots, or just kind of the first 6 inches of hair. All that loose hair tries to wrap around everything while it's kind of damp, and so you can kind of let that happen. But you definitely want to separate your dreads the day after you wash them or so, and just feel through with your fingers. You'll feel like you'll find a good amount, like in each dread, maybe a hair or two, a couple hairs that are attaching. You know, you can feel it coming from one spot to the next. So you'll be happy you did it if you separate them after, unless you want to let them join together, which if you do, I did these 2 on purpose. These were 4 dreads and now they're 2. So that's what they'll look like. These were just so, you can see they were so thin, pretty thin. I didn't like the way they looked going, like I had all the thick hair, and then I just had the 2 skinny ones along the side, so I just combined them to a thicker one, both. And actually, since I've done that, it was all this hair, but slowly it's kind of the dread has like rejected or let some of this bottom hair be loose, which I don't mind. The loose hair right along my hair or around my face, so it's no big deal. That's really all I have to say. Wash your hair once or twice a week. Separate your dreads. Oh, and number 3, I almost forgot. The day after you wash, for those of you who watch this all the time, you've heard me say this a million times, but the day after you wash, after you kind of separated all the ones that might be trying to join together, just find the dread that's giving you issues. By issues, I mean like a long root, like it's not locking up super close to the root. Usually you'll have a couple dreads that have more straight hair than, or they're straight for longer before they dread than other dreads. I'll just use this one as an example. So I'll just grab it. It'll be dread, and I'll grab it at the bottom of the dreaded part right before it becomes straight hair, and I'll put my 2 fingers around it. So this right here is dread, my fingers are around, and right beneath my fingers is the straight hair. And I just lightly press down to my scalp so all that straight hair kind of bubbles, kind of like compresses it and makes it all stick out. And then I'll just lightly rub it clockwise, and then I'll stop and go the other way. And I'll do it each direction for maybe like 10 seconds, if that maybe, and then you can feel that root, and you can feel the new knots and like the tangles that you just created from doing that, and that kind of helps keeps your roots tight, a little closer to your scalp, rather than having longer straight roots or longer roots, and also with the longer roots you'll have more frizzy hair. Worth mentioning too that washing your hair will help your hair lock much faster. People get really annoyed because it's like you do all this maintenance and then you wash your hair and it's kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of deal. But that's okay. You got to be okay with that, because every time you wash your hair, all that hair that between washings that has found its way onto a dread or tangled up with other hairs, once you wash it and it dries, just like if you were to braid your hair and let it be while it was wet and then let it dry, and then once it's dry you try to untangle that braid, it's all wavy. It's the same thing with the knots. So once your hair creates these knots from all the movement, you wash your hair, and all those knots that were created, as your hair dries, those knots set in place. So your hair will be a little frizzier at first appearance, and while it's drying for that day, it will be a little frizzier. But that's just because it's the ends of the hairs that have wrapped around and knotted up under your dread. It's the ends of those long hairs that are sticking off, and that's what you're seeing as frizz. And even if you feel like it's just making your hair more and more frizzy, it is always locking the root tighter. Especially if you notice your dreads get a little wiggly. To get a little slight wiggle in them after you've washed, that's a great sign. That just means that they're shrinking up a little bit and getting tighter, and that's totally fine. If you get zigzags and loops, that's totally fine as well. Let it do its thing, because it's just one side of the dread getting tighter. Probably some knots up higher than that zigzag got real tight and pulled hair upwards on one side, and the other side was straight hair that looped out, but it's eventually that loop is going to get pulled into the dread anyway, so just try not to worry about it. Enjoy your dreads. Enjoy them while they're at a short length, because once they get long, you kind of got it. They're more of a, for lack of a better word, just more of a hassle, or just more of something to take care of. Obviously, because it's more hair. But yeah, enjoy them. Enjoy them while they're short. Wear headbands. Do all kinds of stuff with them. Even when mine were short, I was taking 2 from each side and tying them together to hold them all back. You can do all kinds of stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And before I go, I will show you guys full all the way around. Alright, so that's it. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. 5 years of crazy dreadlocks. It has been a great 5 years. I can't wait for 5 more. I'm looking very forward to it. So we'll see where they are then. They'll be down to my knees by then. That'll be great. Whatever. No, I'm just kidding. I'll definitely won't let them get that long. But I will probably still have them in 5 years. Scratch that. I will definitely still have them in 5 years from now. So you guys keep watching, and I'll keep posting videos. Leave your comments below. I love the comments that you guys leave. I have some of the greatest viewers ever. I have a lot of the same people who post comments, and I love that. And they'll post them on every video, and it's awesome. Just a sense of community with dreads is great. And you'll notice that once you get your dreads, if you're thinking about getting them. Like even today, we're at the mall right now. We're on top of the parking garage, and I saw a couple people with dreads in the mall. And we were like, hey, what's up, dude? We're like, even if it's a chick, you know, you just kind of, it's like, hey, what's up? Just respect, you know. It's really cool. I will see you again soon for my next Dreadlock update or my vlogs. You can check out my vlogs on my channel as well. I try to post at least 4 or 5 times a week on top of my Dread videos. So thank you guys, and I will see you guys again soon.